This week we're going to talk about how the WWE developmental process truly began, and of course I'm alongside here with the good doctor himself, Mr. Tom Pritchard. Tom, how are you?
Doing great, Brian.
I know you guys had a busy weekend. It seemed like it was a big show, had a lot of stars over the weekend.
Big show, had a lot of stars, had FCW alumni Natalia with us, and it was an awesome show.
What was some of the highlights of the NWA weekend for you guys?
I thought the highlight was Natty and Kenzie. I really did. I thought they had a great match. The crowd was hot for it. We had a three-way world championship with Colby Carino, Tom Latimer, and Rhino too. But it was a long weekend, but a great weekend. It
It's
really was.
it's crazy how stuff like this is possible now.
Yeah, things have really changed. I mean, I think it's great because it gives people an idea. Everybody knows there's other companies out there, and it's just kind of crazy to ignore uh, places
Hmm.
like TNA, Evolve, and NWA, and things like that. So yeah, I think it's great. Wrestling fans are connected, and I think it's really cool.
It's an amazing way to find talent, to grow talent, to see, if they're ready to face someone like Natalia.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's a great idea. You give fresh faces a new look, and you never know what you're going to find.
Absolutely, sir. So let's dive into how the WWE developmental idea even came to be. What were you doing in the company at the time that this was sort of pitched to you?
I was in McDonough, Georgia. We were with Deep South Wrestling at the time, and there were some things that were happening, I guess, from the office side that they wanted done, and I'm not sure exactly what was going on in New South, Deep South wrestling that wasn't working for the office because they didn't invite me into knowing what was going on. But we were in McDonough, Georgia, doing developmental, and I think Johnny Ace just decided that Florida, Tampa,
Hmm.
was a better place, a more inviting place for talents to come in and be recruited, as opposed to the middle of nowhere in Georgia. You had in Tampa or in Florida in general, you had the beach, you had sunshine, you had palm trees, you had cool stuff, man, everywhere you went. So I think they just wanted a different atmosphere, a different place of business.
Now, do you feel like that was a stronger sell for talents they were reaching out to, was Tampa versus anywhere else?
Oh, yeah, certainly. But you got to remember, developmental was so different back then. I mean, WWE stamped the name on it, but it was up to somebody to go out and find a building, and it was still independent.
Hmm.
While it was connected with WWE, what I mean is it wasn't WWE's name on the lease; it was Steve Keirn's name, and so I think they realized after Tampa, moving to Orlando was the best option because Orlando has what is it Universal or Disney World or Disneyland or whatever they have in Universal. They got a lot of cool stuff there,
Hmm.
and I think John figured out Tampa was a good move, and that's what happened. And just we were in McDonough, Georgia, slaving away, but I think Johnny, after living in Tampa for a while, realized it was a better sell for athletes and independent wrestlers alike.
Now, when they had FCW set up, and there was two ways to get there, you could pay to be there or pay to be there. How was there a lot of people just trying to get a job at that time, like trying to drop in, like give me a look?
Well, there were a couple of people who dropped in because they wanted to be wrestlers, but Steve had a beginners class at night too that Norman Smiley he recruited Norman Smiley to teach, and but you would occasionally have people come around and walk in. Titus O'Neil was one of them. Just walked through the back door. He knew Batista, met Batista in the gym somewhere, and asked him how to become a wrestler. And he said, "Go on down to the FCW arena." And he did. He walked in, and then we told him to come back, and he did. And the rest is history.
Now, how was it for those talents that walked in trying to go that route? Was it harder for them to get signed sometimes?
Yeah, it was because they first had to take the beginners class, and Steve was pretty much direct with them and told them it was pretty slim they would get a contract if they looked like guys coming off the street.
Hmm.
Titus at least looked like an athlete, and we'd have some guys come in and look like an athlete, but come to find out they didn't want to. You know, everybody wants to be a wrestler until it's time to do stuff you have to do to be a wrestler. And, you know, they found out the bumps are real and you're going to have to take a lot of those before you get past that. And, you know, some people don't like falling down on purpose, especially.
I feel like that a lot of people thought that it would be easier than what it is in real life here.
Right. A lot of people come in with the idea that the ring is a mattress or a trampoline and the ropes are rubber bands. And when they find out they're steel cables or actual ropes, that'll give you rope burns and canvas burns, mat burns, you know, then they find out, I don't know if I really want to do this that bad. So we had a lot of people like that. And even some of the people they signed once they got in developmental, especially some of the football players, figured out falling down on your back and having to learn how to avoid mat burns and things like that wasn't always the easiest thing in the world to do, and they'd rather be on the football field.
Mm-mm. It seemed like they'd sign like maybe 5 football players at a time, and only one would be left standing.
Yeah, sometimes, and sometimes none of them would be left standing. They'd all just either quit or get fired.
And was that a quick turnaround usually?
No, it was pretty much a constant because they were looking for athletes from different sports and women from different walks of life, let's say.
Hmm.
You know, they were looking for the models and the divas at that time, and they would send us some of those. And for the women, some would gravitate towards it, and others were like, oh no, I don't think this is for me. You know, I think they might have been sold that all they had to do was stand there and look pretty. When come to find out, when you had people like Natty Neidhart there, you were going to be in a fight when you got in the ring.
And how was the atmosphere when they would bring someone in like that, and then they put them against someone like Natty? I'm assuming she would show them real quickly what this business was about.
Natty was really good at being a leader, and she knew how to help someone if they wanted to be helped. She helped develop twins immensely when they came in, but there were some ladies who didn't understand that you had to fall down, and it was going to be tough. I remember, I won't mention any names here. Don't want to do that. But one of my deals I would do before they go to the main roster was have a 1 hour Broadway 1 hour draw, and I just remember one girl walking out after 15 minutes and saying, "To hell with this." So, you know, I mean, there were things like that. Not all of them were like that, but there were some people who just says, "No, this isn't for me." You know, we had a guy who called himself the Last Outlaw, and he came to when you had tryouts. You know, we bring about 5 to 10 people in for tryouts sometimes, and we had 2 classes, a morning class and an afternoon class. And he was in the morning class, and after that, he went home, and he was supposed to come back for or he went back to the hotel, grab something to eat, lay down and take a nap. He was supposed to come home or come back for the afternoon class, and he just couldn't do it. He slept all the way through, and the next day we asked him where he was. He said, "Oh, I couldn't make it. I had to take a nap." So he didn't last the whole week.
You mean you guys didn't understand?
No, we didn't understand. Especially somebody who calls himself the Last Outlaw and gets in the ring and didn't know how to lock up. He just knew how to kick and punch.
So how was it as a trainer navigating tryouts and stuff like that? How was it like picking who you guys were going to have a tryout that week? Or
Well, they usually sent them from the office, and we wanted to see if they had heart, if they had the desire and the willpower to stick with it, and can you train all day long and still want to come back and through the soreness, because you're going to be sore after what we put you through. You're going to feel it, and we wanted to see if you had the heart, if you had the feel for this, and if you did, you did, and if you didn't, well, we found out real quick.
So this was a little bit of a different training aspect.
No, not really. We put them through what we put everybody else through, and just to see if they could take it. I mean, we may have concentrated more on uh, drills because those guys were only there for a week,
Hmm.
but we had our same training going on too as the trials were happening.
So is that a little bit more of a focused and quick turnaround because you only have so many people this week, or would you guys say, okay, we might see something with you, come back for this next one?
Well, we wanted to see if they had the ability to adapt
Hmm.
and if they'd listen and if they'd follow directions and could apply what was being told. Um, and if they could, well, they might be invited back. They might get hired right there on the spot. We did hire a couple guys on the spot after that week, um, but you know, a lot of people get there and they certainly don't know what to expect because this was brand new to them. The guys who
Hmm.
didn't watch wrestling, never watched wrestling before, and then somebody saw a picture of them or heard about them up in Stanford and said, "Let's try them. Let's bring them in for a tryout." So it was just all up to the guy or gal who really wanted it, and we found out real fast.
Hmm. Some
Yeah.
of those talents, when you signed them, did they change quickly once they realized what all their job was going to entail during this training process? Like a
Not
shock to
not
them?
not all of them, but I remember one time one of the football players was, we trained. I think we started at 9, if I recall, and he came in at 5 to 9 with his breakfast, from McDonald's, and went in the arena and started eating his breakfast. And you're supposed to be getting ready to train and warming up at 9 o'clock, so we expect you there by 8:30 or at least quarter to 9. But I had to go in and tell him, put your stuff down and let's get in and train. And he wasn't there very long.
I would assume it is a culture shock for a lot of people coming into wrestling that weren't in wrestling before.
Yeah, because everybody looks at and sees what it's like on TV,
Hmm.
and it looks really cool, and it is. It is really cool. But they don't see the work that goes into it before they get to TV, and they don't understand that the basics and fundamentals are so important. The basics and fundamentals will never go out of style. That goes for every sport, every business. You have to have a solid foundation. And a lot of these guys laughed at wrestling and thought all they had to do was show up, look good, or like again, some of the
Hmm.
women just stand there and look pretty, and that was it. But when you got down to the flat back bumps or the rolls and hitting the ropes, hitting those ropes, it's not easy, especially if you've never done it before and you've never seen it. And then we try to teach them how to hit it with the side, and then you get those bruises on your side, and that's a real foreign feeling to someone who's never done this before. And it's for everybody. I mean, when you first start out, you're going to get those bumps and bruises, but the difference is, do you embrace it and do you say, this is what I really want to do, or do you say, no, I don't know if I want to do this on a daily basis? Because you'll be there on a daily basis, and you're expected to train, you're expected to work hard, and some did and some didn't.
I remember I interviewed Bill DeMott one time, and he said that was a big misconception for while he was head coach was a lot of these people did not want to come in daily and train. They wanted, they're a superstar now. This is what they don't need to do this anymore.
Right. That's
Hmm.
exactly right. They know everything, and that's one thing you got to pick up on is that you don't know everything. Even when you've been in the business for 40 years, you still going to learn new stuff, and you're going to still it's changing all the time, and people will debate that. But I'll say this: um, the styles change, the superstars change, the athletes change, but the the foundation of what this is doesn't change. It's still entertainment. It is sports entertainment, but it's difficult. Not everybody can do this, and there's a method to the madness. Um, Everybody has to learn how to lock up. Everybody has to learn how to grab the simple, basic holds and moves. And what makes you different in the ring is what you do in between those basics and moves. And not everybody can pick up on that. Not everybody gets that. So it's a hard thing to grasp sometimes for some athletes who've never done this before and just watched it for entertainment value on TV.
And I would take it that their mindset is that it shouldn't take 2 years in developmental. It shouldn't take a year. It should be, I'm here, let's go.
Well, it really shouldn't take a year or 2 years. I mean, it should take you at least till everybody's different, but at least until you get the basics down. And if you have some semblance of that, and they can mold you, and you're coachable, then that's a different story. But you have to stay coachable, and you have to listen and follow direction.
Do you feel like a lot of people starting out at that level, it's a process for them to learn to be coachable?
Some were a process.
Mm-hmm.
Some looked at it as a process and learned how to be coachable, but others were pretty coachable and understood that they didn't know what to do, so they were willing to be coachable. Titus was very coachable. There were a lot of guys who were coachable, and then there were the others who weren't.
So for someone like Titus O'Neil who came in, was he someone that was signed right
Yeah, once Johnny took a look at him because he had a great look,
away?
had a
Mm-hmm.
fantastic look. Once Johnny got a look at him, we signed him, and he came in and he worked hard. He did, and good guy, family man, and yeah, he had a good attitude.
So he was someone that was easy to like work with and develop and teach that this is what this industry truly is. And he sat down, shut up, and he listened.
He did. He really did. I mean, there were times when he was a little I don't know if he was full of himself, but that was part of him being in football and being a leader in football and trying to be a leader in wrestling too. But he also listened and paid attention.
What do you feel is a good time frame for someone in developmental? I know it's different for everybody, but
I think at least 6 months. That'll give you a chance to taste it and see if you really can or can't. But if you're there a year and you really haven't picked up on anything, I think it's time to move on. But 6 months, you should at least have some kind of grasp of what you're doing and what this is. And now with the PC, because they have people who are doing history with these guys and tell them about the history, because you have so many people coming in and don't really know what happened prior to the year 2000 in the business, or don't really know the impact of some of these guys. So uh, that's a big element that you have to take into consideration. Um, Knowing who came before you and knowing what you can and can't do, and maybe even committing larceny and stealing some of their stuff, because what's old is going to be new again. If you can just grasp it, we get a whole turnover of fans. Those the 6-year-old fans or 8-year-old, 10-year-old fans of today weren't around 30 years ago. They don't know about the Hulkamania. They don't know about the Ultimate Warrior and things like that. So it's important for them to educate the guys who are now training as to who came before them and see if they can pick up anything from that.
now is that something you guys started implementing in FCW that evolved to NXT?
We did occasionally. We watched film occasionally. Yes, we sure did. And Dusty Rhodes was instrumental there too. Having the dream there was incredible, man. That was you can't substitute anybody for the American dream.
Hmm. What was it like? Just watch. You were more in ring, but seeing how Dusty and them would work with these talents.
Well, it was pretty cool because Dusty Rhodes is a once in a lifetime talent, and he was a major global superstar, megastar And to watch him teach these guys and give them direction was eye opening. And then you realize why he was so great, because he picked someone's strengths
Hmm.
and he added to them. And he tried to not necessarily hide the weaknesses, but he played on the strengths and let everybody be themselves. And if he didn't like something, or if he thought something could be tweaked, he would tweak it. And those that succeeded, like Bray Wyatt, uh, were, were were very successful. And so it was incredible watching Dream operate. It really was.
How is it seeing like stuff like that, but then seeing that these people that you're training like start to get it and click and their character, they're developing, like seeing all these people come full circle with the gimmick that they're doing.
Well, nothing's more satisfying when you see somebody succeed, and that was what we were looking for. Because the more people they sent to us that we sent back and were used well and could do what they needed to do, it looked better on us. I thought OVW had a great system. They really did.
Hmm.
And then I thought we had a great system. I thought FCW had a great system. And now with the PC, I think the machine has gotten so big that they've got it down, and they know what they're doing.
Hmm.
But nothing was more satisfying than to see somebody succeed, especially when they came from FCW.
I would assume that doing the promos and stuff in developmental is a very intimidating thing for those talents.
Oh, it could be very intimidating. Yeah, especially with Dusty Rhodes standing there and watching, or sitting there and watching. Even if you didn't know who Dusty Rhodes was when you walked in, you knew who he was when you left.
Hmm.
I mean, the Dream had this way of connecting and communicating that made everybody understand this guy was special, and he was a superstar for a reason, because he knew how to communicate and tell stories. And the hard time promo, the sit down interview he does with Vince in an empty arena, these are things we would show them back then, and then these are things to show guys in our school right now.
Was there any like particular funny moments that they just didn't get it, or Dusty was just like it wasn't such a good idea developing like a promo down there?
We had a guy who went to the extreme of taking all his clothes off, and yeah, and had a robe on. And then he took the robe off during the promo, and there's women there, there's men there, and everything. But he was trying to get a reaction, trying to get a shock reaction. But he went too far. Um, and the Dream would offer advice. He told the class one time. He says, "Well, what do you think would happen? I mean, if you just showed up at the arena one day and stood there and waited for them, and they have to use you." Well, he was just making a comment, but the same guy actually bought a ticket and flew to Raw on Monday. Didn't show up for class. We got a call asking, "What is this guy doing standing outside our office?" So we don't know, man. But it was what Dream said that made him go, and you know, I think Dream realized that. Well, he did realize that once Johnny called and this guy actually did it. But the guy had the balls to do it. You got to give it to him. He didn't last long either,
I
though.
was gonna say, how long did he
No,
last after that?
no, he was gone. Yeah, he ran for mayor in his town, and he came in fifth out of five. And he was proud of that. I came in fifth. Well, how many were in there? There was five people in there. There were five people in the race, and you came in fifth. Yeah. So
All that matters is that he placed.
he placed. Yeah.
Recently online, there was someone released some FCW reports. Have you seen these recently?
You know what? In fact, somebody first told me about that this weekend, and then I saw them yesterday. Saw some of them yesterday, and they said during by my name I had none, and that was impossible. But I looked by my name, they had none. But we had to have comments for everybody, so I don't know how that got misplaced somehow. But yeah, I did see some of that.
Now, was this something you guys had to turn in weekly?
I think it was monthly. I think we had monthly reviews back then, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
And was that just something you guys would send up to the office and then they would review it, or
Hmm.
and just
Yeah,
see?
that was for the office, and I don't know who released those. I mean, I have an idea, but I don't know who released them
And then
because that was confidential stuff.
see, that's what blew my mind. Is that number one, that's really old. So someone sat on that for quite some
Yeah.
time, and then why all of a sudden, unless they're just trying to stir the pot.
Well, I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why it would be released now either. I really don't. I don't know what the purpose was.
When you guys did these reports, was it just to just update them and say, you guys feel like this person's ready for this, or
Well, yeah, the office wanted reviews, and the office wanted to know what we thought of the guys and give some kind of reviews. So yeah, that
Mhm.
was what we had to do.
Now how hard was that process of doing? Because the FCW had a lot of talent.
Yeah, but everybody was an individual, and there were some guys who were ready, and some guys weren't, and they would most likely take the guys that weren't ready and pull them up. But if you read the reviews, we're all brutally honest
Hmm.
in a lot of them.
Was that frustrating to see them pull the people that weren't ready?
Very frustrating because what are we doing the reviews for? You're going to take who you want anyway. So what's the purpose? But
Hmm.
we still did them. We had to. Yeah.
Because I feel like you guys are the ones that are daily basis with these people, so you should
Right.
know who's ready and who's not.
Well,
Just because they have a good look doesn't mean that they're ready for television.
right. And that was our contention each time when somebody else would get called up and we'd say to ourselves, why aren't you taking a guy like Dolph Ziggler up,
Hmm.
a guy like TJ, Kofi Kingston? And eventually they did, but those guys had to work their ass off
Hmm.
and just get noticed.
I guess that's a part of the industry that I'll never understand, and maybe they just want like a certain spot for a certain someone with a certain look at that time.
Well, I'll say this: it's changed a whole lot since Triple H has taken over,
Hmm.
and I think it's because he realizes, as a wrestler, sometimes you you aren't necessarily thought of by the higher or weren't. But let me say this: weren't necessarily thought of by the higher ups as having talent unless you had a great body,
Hmm.
and not everybody was muscle bound back then, but um, it was very frustrating when they would take the guys just on looks alone. So
Hmm.
I think it's a lot different now.
I'd have to agree. What do you think was the number one reason why, if they would pull someone up earlier than they weren't ready, that they would not necessarily succeed on the main roster and then get released shortly after?
Well, I think it was one of those things where they were big guys, looked good, looked the part, but just couldn't play the part.
Hmm. Like the guy they put with TJ, he was 7 foot. Was it Jackson Andrews?
Yeah. Not really. Didn't really have it,
Hmm. So let's just
and
throw him on the
and
main roster and then
and have somebody who can work with him
yeah.
work. Put a guy out there and then have the workhorse, TJ,
Hmm.
do all the work.
So do you feel like that would kill someone's career the way that they do that if they're not ready they just throw them up because people are always going to remember that first interaction. So they're trying.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can erase that sometimes because I mean, people do have horrible debuts. Undertaker didn't have a stellar debut and first match, but I mean, he did okay. Um, yeah, it can kill somebody's career unless they're just tenacious and have that drive.
Hmm.
Some guys got up there and realized they weren't ready. Batista was a guy who
Hmm.
wasn't clicking. Didn't just something wasn't going. And then I think Triple H and Shawn maybe got a hold of him and smartened him up, and he didn't fall through the cracks. Thank God.
Yeah, there's a lot of people like that. Like with Cena, they said they almost released, and then when Bray was
Yeah.
Husky Harris.
Right, Husky Harris, another one. You know that just wasn't Bray. That wasn't who Wyndham Rotundo was. That wasn't him. But once he found Bray Wyatt, and that was Wyndham,
Hmm.
the way he talked, what he talked about, and how he was. I mean, he was a funny guy. He was an interesting guy to get to know. And he was not Husky Harris.
Hmm.
That's for sure. But once you put him in that place that he was comfortable, you found out what you had.
Was that an easy fix when he went back to developmental? Did he know that he wanted to be Bray?
I think so. I think he started studying Waylon Mercy, and Dream started working with him a little more on promos and allowing him to have a little more freedom and let him do what he wanted to do, and be a cult leader like personality. And uh, I don't know how easy it was, but I think it was a lot more comfortable for him
Hmm.
doing it that way. Yeah.
I feel like that time period they really were investing in developmental talent because if you look at other territories, they would have a gimmick or they would have, a group or a clique, but they didn't have people like the Ascension or Bray Wyatt or the Wyatt family. I feel like FCW they really started building these characters and these individuals like truly TV ready, like they could go right now.
Yeah, and there were a lot of guys like that. Or there were. Let me say this: I don't know about a lot, but there were a few guys like that, and that was due to Dream's promo class, due to
Hmm.
his suggestions and ideas.
It was a crazy cool experience to see. I got to go to some FCW shows back in the day, and you could just tell like the atmosphere is different when you have individuals like that
Yeah,
developing.
yeah, it really is. And Dream took an interest in everybody that came through. If they showed the drive, then Dream would grab it and run with it.
Was there ever an office? We're sorry for this one. We're sorry for a Husky Harris. We have a Bray.
They never apologized for anything, man. Never apologize for anything. I'm still waiting for mine.
But that's got to be satisfying knowing that you guys showed them that you were right.
Well, to a point, but that yeah, to a point.
Do you have any upcoming appearances coming up soon?
No, none that I can recall right now. I think I have something in August, but that's in August, Charlotte. So
How's the
yeah,
school going?
school's going great.
Are you guys starting any new classes, or did you just start a class?
We just started a new class this last 3 weeks have been a new class. So we got 12 weeks of this class, and they're doing good.
What's usually a class size? Does it vary for you?
It varies for us. Last time we had six. This time we have two. So that's kind of challenging, but it works.
Hmm. It's more of an
Yeah.
intimate setting there with just two people.
Yep. Yeah.
Where can people reach out to train with you?
You can email us and check us out at jpwrestlingacademy.com, and it has all the information right there.
Well, I appreciate your time today, Dr. Tom. Let's set up another time to talk a little bit about more.
You got it.